She wasn't here to say that.
Right.
And given she's not here,
Yeah.
I have to, I don't, it's Walmart.
Well, good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and call the DoIT Advisory Board meeting for Thursday, September 15th to order. And it looks like we do not have a quorum. I had a message from Zach who said that he would not be here, so we're short a quorum. So we will push our approval of the minutes from our August 18th meeting to our next meeting and go ahead and turn things over to Kent for old business.
Okay, first up on old business, board member replacement. Brad Alexander has missed a few meetings, and we were wondering if we should replace him. Tracy has reached out to Brad, and Brad is currently making a decision. So at this point, we're not going to try to replace today. We'll get Brad's decision whether he wants to return to the board or not before we move on. Lisa has submitted one possible candidate. It seems like a good one, so if you've got others candidates, we go ahead and bring them for the next meeting.
And Kent, does this, not, I don't have any names, but does this have to be a non-county employee?
From what I read, the wording of it's a little bit weird. And my interpretation is that it doesn't have to be someone who's not a county employee. And as a result, I would like to also put my name in the hat to be a part of the board member selection. So, but, I mean, I'd leave that up to the interpretation of the board. It is a gray area, and it literally is kind of just dependent on how you take a few words, both in that and then the county employee policy.
I would just say this, and again, for further discussion at a later time, I think that, again, I expect to have a conversation with Brad tomorrow. Obviously, he launched a new business after he left the city of West Lafayette, so what he is doing is trying to determine how that fits with his schedule right now. And I think out of fairness to him, we'll give him an opportunity, and I am exceptionally pleased with the gentleman who Lisa had submitted his name and his resume, and again, I'll distribute that to everybody on the board, but I think he would be an absolutely wonderful asset for us. He certainly has the experience and works in local business now, so that's where I'm at, and don't expect us to make a decision today, and I'll keep the board advised once I have that communication, follow-up communication with Brad tomorrow. So, okay, Max or Ken?
If we wanted to add this guy, Lisa's guy, and Max, could we do that? Or the bylaws is limiting us there, or?
Go back and look at them and see.
It says two non. It's under teams.
Ordinances and teams, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we need an answer right now, maybe
There.
research, but I'm just kind of curious.
And Max, you want to join the board so you have a vote? Because you're already coming to are you not already coming to all our meetings?
I come to most meetings. Yes.
Okay.
But I would like to, yes, have a vote.
Okay,
I feel I can bring a little bit more to the table if I am a voting member.
okay.
All right, next on the agenda, Township IT. I briefly mentioned this at the last meeting. In past directors had determined to supply email accounts to township marshals so that they would be on the public safety network. And that's worked out fairly well. As part of one of the state groups I'm part of, we've been discussing local cybersecurity, and we're getting down into the, well, township trustees, the small town boards, the town clerks, those kind of people who probably don't have any IT experience, and their budgets might not allow them to have proper cybersecurity protections in place. Again, the state's already addressed some of that with know-before training they're all eligible for. But I'd mentioned possibly the county supplying Microsoft Office accounts that would give them the ability to have email, but also allow SharePoint, OneDrive storage, so that they could get their town ordinances, whatever rules and regulations uploaded, meeting minutes uploaded somewhere that would be backed up and available to the general public. And we could push them to our website if necessary, as one of those considerations. I have not been able to contact the trustees at this point, mainly because I've run out of time. That's on my schedule to do next week. Most people seemed generally in favor of it last time, after having a month to think about it. Has anybody come up with reasons we can't do this or shouldn't do this?
Well, I have one question. So in our enterprise agreement with Microsoft, we have unlimited resources in terms of licensing.
No. We pay per license. And that's sort of another question. It'd be about $120 per user for the basic license to get them M365 with the terabyte of OneDrive / SharePoint storage. It's $120 a year.
So if you made the general assumption that every township has 3 township board members and a township trustee, and then you throw, if you were going to throw Shadeland or some of the other towns in there, we're talking about ends up being a pretty big number. Is it your thought then that we would expect that they have some skin in the game, that they would at least reimburse us for the cost of the licensing? Could be talking several $1,000s.
I think the licensing would be nice. The county's skin would be the labor involved. So I think $120 per user should be feasible for them.
And go ahead, Lisa.
Is this something you mentioned that we're going to be doing labor for the townships and these small, is that something we're legally allowed to do as county?
I don't know. I'm going to talk to Doug about that.
Okay.
And are you proposing that labor would be provided it's going to be with your incumbent staff, or that you would have to add staff to do that?
My staff's going to kill me. I'd like to do it with current staff. There's enough other things driving the need for additional staffing for just county needs.
Realistically, it would depend on the amount of support that we actually offered. If we're just providing email and that's it, then what's 30 more people? I mean, we deal with almost 1,000 individuals currently. 30 more is not going to break the bank. It would be if we had to start making trips out to those locations to actually assist them with computer things. Because without spending an exorbitant amount of money, we wouldn't be able to reach out and provide remote assistance. We'd have to be on site for everything or over the phone.
Well, they'd be able to use Teams to remote in or
They're
share
not,
screen.
I mean, share screen maybe, but you couldn't remote assist. or you couldn't remote control, you'd have to remote assist.
So it'd be a little difficult.
It would, yeah, it'd basically be like what we had to do in COVID.
So how many towns, Shadeland would have a town board and clerk?
Shadeland, Otterman, Battleground,
Clarksville,
Dayton, Clarksville,
So
and then all the townships.
there's, on a town board, there's typically three.
3 town board members, 1 township trustee, or, I'm sorry, town board, no, I think it is 3. The Dayton town board is larger than that.
you could easily have
Plus-
20, I would
plus a
think,
town clerk.
organizations, so you could have
80 people,
80 to,
100,
yeah.
Okay.
yeah. Plus, would the support staff also be getting the email account, right? Because they hire people, at least Wabash and,
I think just Wabash
Fairfield
and
does.
Fairfield, I don't know. We all,
and what about the fire people? I mean, it could be a lot more than,
We kind of already support fire station. We kind of already support fire station in some extent because they are connected, I believe, to other services that we provide.
okay.
So I think they're taken care of already. But the rest of the support staff, we'd have to do a huge look, and it'd be a big research project to find out the exact numbers that we'd bump into doing this. But
So it sounds like we've got a lot more homework to do before we can make a.
Oh, yeah, we're not making any purchases at this point.
Okay, good.
A little bit different take on this. Would we allow them to purchase licenses on our enterprise agreement, and they handle all of the IT? Carla Stearns of Clarks Hill asked if they could purchase licenses through us, but they would maintain it.
I guess it would be might technically be a Microsoft question as well. How far outside of the umbrella they let you go to allow others to be part of your enterprise?
really, it's more
Yeah.
of a legal question. It's more of a legal question than a Microsoft question. Because
Contract issue.
we can do it.
Yeah. We can provide accounts for vendors with our Microsoft agreement. So I wouldn't see why these township or city or town people, officials, wouldn't be eligible.
Okay, anything else on the subject?
I do have an answer about adding more to the members of the board. I did find the ordinance in here. It does specifically state currently that there are only 2 people that can be added. So it's very specific on the amount of individuals. So we'd have to change the ordinance to add a 3rd. That being said, it might be potentially a good idea to add a 3rd person just because currently the amount of board members that are added, everyone here, there's 10. So if you add an 11th person, that gives you the option to always have a winning vote if that does come down to something. So just, there it is.
Thank you, Max.
Okay, Eric? Mr. Vickery?
that is a piece of software that we've acquired for the entire county that is able to provide different types of training that we can all use. What it involves, it's got multiple different classes, and I say multiple. I've looked through the library, there's at least 1,000, if not more, training classes. And it covers everything from a very technical readout of how to build a server and how to secure it, all the way to best ways, best practices to use Microsoft 365 per application. So there's several courses on Teams, on Excel, on Word, on PowerPoint, all of those things. And it even goes over to business training, in so much as, how do you deal with hostility in the workplace? How do you deal with customers? What are some good tips and tricks to make people feel comfortable? So it covers the whole gamut of stuff. We got a very cheap price for it.
Our previous training package was just for the office. This new package covers the entire county, and it costs less than the previous package. So, it's a very good deal for us.
Yeah, and it allows an unlimited amount of classes to be taken by everyone in the county. So basically, they just log into the website, click on the library button, and they can start a course. It's very simple, very smooth. We'll be rolling that out. I'm hoping before the end of the year, potentially by the beginning of next year. I'll be working with Robert to see exactly how we do that. So the department heads, you'll all get some more emails on that in the near future. And we'll see how that goes. But just so you've got a heads up that it's coming.
Thank you, Max. Good morning, Reed.
Turn this on. Yep. All right. We're going to be doing a project in the auditor's office involving the parcel layer. And we're going to be working with CloudPoint, which is the vendor, the GIS vendor that the county already works with. And we will be kind of accomplishing two things and kind of killing two birds with one stone. The first is taking care of kind of the messiness of the parcel layer as it currently exists. Kind of over years and years of editing the polygon layer, it's kind of built up all these microscopic gaps and overlaps, which is kind of inevitable after the layer being edited for that long amount of time. And so, that's not something that I would be able to do without, forsaking the rest of my duties in my job, because it would take forever. So they're going to help clean that layer up, take care of all the gaps, overlaps, as well as transitioning to the parcel fabric, which is really the modern way of using a parcel layer in GIS. What we're doing is kind of the almost outdated, the old version, just doing a standard layer editing, and that the parcel fabric, which I still have pretty limited knowledge on, is more dynamic, should be easier to use apparently, and is just going to be a better setup. So they're going to transition what we currently have to the new parcel fabric, and then I'll be trained on, and then when I do that, I'll transition over to ArcPro, which I've just been using ArcMap up until now because we have Sidwell, and that's how I've been that's what I've been using to establish parcel numbers and link them to the map. But once we transition over to ArcMap and the parcel fabric, that will become obsolete. So the point is to just kind of get everything updated. It's kind of it's going to have to happen sooner or later, and we figured this was a pretty good time. And yeah, the timeline, we haven't established a starting date yet, but it'll probably be a 3 to 4 month process or so. So then there'll be some training at the end for me. And yeah.
Reed, am I to understand that means is Sidwell will go away then?
Yeah.
Completely
yeah.
for everyone?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really the only person who uses it in the whole county, I think. But yeah, we have a little license with them until next July, I believe.
I recently renew the license in the July every year. So we already have the parcel fabric license through our ISRI EA agreement. So we have already that in the place. So we have couple of months to make the transition. So next year I don't have to renew the Sidwell license, and over there we can save the money, and obviously we have everything in place right now except we have the training for him. So yeah.
Good, thank you.
The parcel fabric, is that a platform or a brand name or a technique, or what is the parcel fabric?
I think it's just kind of the, what it's called. I mean, I don't think it's like a TM sort of thing, trademarked. Well, maybe it is. Like I said, I have limited knowledge on it.
Yeah, so I will just jump in. Like ISRI have a couple of other solutions and the softwares like ArcMap, ArcPro, couple of solutions from their end. So Parcel Fabric is one of that. It is basically devoted for the parcel editing, their use, their updates, and everything kind of thing.
It's an SRE product?
Yeah, it's a ISRI product. Okay. So making everything on the ISRI platform right now, as we already have the many things from them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it'll make Sidwell obsolete. They're not Esri, so yeah, it'll kind of consolidate everything, and we'll be able to just do everything out of Esri.
Sidwell is that every time we update anything in the ISRI, we have to make sure that Sidwell is compatible with that. And most of the times it's not happen because of their compatibility issues. But when we go for the same platform, they make sure, ISRI itself make sure that they have the compatibility for the Parcel Fabric, ArcGIS Pro, and right now we are migrating to the ArcGIS Pro for everyone in the county. So I guess this is the time to migrate for him from the ArcMap to the ArcPro also.
Okay, thank you.
So the timeline on this is as soon as Bob's out of office, we start?
Yeah, it's up to him, I guess.
We got something back from Doug looking at that agreement, didn't we?
Yeah.
Is that going back out to them for their approval again? I mean, is it ready to go to the commissioners for approval?
I was going to talk to you too.
Okay.
But I think it's ready to go back to them, to have them look at it before we have any signatures put on it. Have you read through it?
Kind of.
Okay.
And the cost of this is around $50,000 in total. And we have a plat book fund, which is $10 per document that's, or parcel that's transferred. So we're going to be able to handle this. I will have an appropriation to council next month to pay for this. So that is really the use of the plat book fund, is to pay for this. This is going to be a pretty major hit to our fund balance, but that's what the money is really there for, to maintain this.
Reed mentioned this earlier. In the 20 years that I've been here, I don't recall any kind of cleanup like this being attempted. If a neighborhood is noticed as being off, then a specific cleanup would happen in that area. But this is the first really county-wide investigation of the lines or the boundaries and redo of that. Once this is in place, we'll probably need to work with Esri to figure out a schedule to have this done periodically, so it's not a monumental task and just a every 4 or 5 year review, something along those lines.
Yeah, and I think some of these problems, these geographic issues will hopefully be mitigated when we're using parcel fabric. I think the idea is that it's all kind of one unit as opposed to, you're moving this one polygon or you're moving these vertices around. It's all kind of blends together, if you will. So I think some of these errors are less likely to be created, as I understand it, with parcel fabric.
So basically, when we are moving from the ArcMap to the ArcPro, they have the automation process. They have the couple of advanced tools that ISRI provide that we can directly use to make sure when we are editing any parcels, their lines attached to each other, there will be no overlaps, gaps. So obviously, during the training session, Reed able to understand how to do it, and for the future reference, we will make sure when he's editing anything in the parcels, that mistake will not be go through, so we don't have to do clean up thing again.
Thank you, Reed.
Yep, thank you.
Better eat your Wheaties. It's going to be a big project.
Are you working with Virginia for that? Is that, okay. Gotcha. She's real good. We worked with her for the other Esri upgrade that we've performed recently.
Okay, any other business to be brought before the board?
I have some other business, potentially, if you weren't going to say something? No? Digital signatures. We've had a large amount of departments come and request forms be digitized. We have a few options available. I'm still waiting on an answer as to what we're going to use. So in the very near future, we should be able to start pushing out some digital forms, working with each of your departments to get things ready. So be thinking, be talking. I'll send something out here to department heads either later today or tomorrow to get everybody kind of primed and ready, see what we can do to make things easier for you, get rid of a little bit more paper, and help things get around faster.
So this is more than just being able to accommodate digital signatures. It's like a solution to get rid of paper forms, so people can submit things from home and...
Correct, yes, yeah. Internal, external, whatever we need. We've got multiple options right now on how we do it, so it's just hopefully consolidating and getting it so that everybody's kind of on the same page.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Can I make the motion?
Yeah, you can.
Motion to adjourn. Well, I'm not a voting member, so.